Keith, I've been watching really all day long, actually since yesterday I should say, this NVIDIA deal for Groq. And if you zoom out, I think it says so much about the mindset of companies and how the AI bubble, it may only be just beginning, despite all this AI bubble talk.
Sure, Brian, and thanks for having me. We're looking at it in a similar fashion. It's not necessarily a bid for a competitor. It seems like, and this is kind of what we've gathered from it, is it's a investment into capacity expansion beyond the current GPU platform that NVIDIA currently has. It's an investment alongside of a competitor, in not only in the vertical they're in, but also looking at it from an aspect of just a capacity growth that seems to be, this is a positive affirmation of that capacity growth that grows beyond what NVIDIA currently has in their vertical. So this is, in our opinion, a very positive checkpoint for where we are in the cycle. There's a lot of questions about where we're in the cycle and infrastructure build and is it overpriced and have we gotten ahead of ourselves. NVIDIA, with this investment, in our opinion, is saying no, we haven't. I see a lot to come in this investment phase.
And I got to give a shout out to one of my ex-followers here, watcher of the show, Sideline24. One of my resolutions, Inez, was to go out and visit an AI data center. This user telling me they have, he's working on a project out in Arizona to build an AI infrastructure plant. So it's fascinating to see what's happening in this country because of AI. And there's a question to you on this, which I haven't seen brought up a lot on this NVIDIA-Groq deal. Was NVIDIA potentially at risk at losing its #1 spot, not today, not tomorrow, but let's say 5 years down the line to a company like Groq, and they figured, why not just pay big now, shell out a big check, and then nobody could touch us?
You know, Shazia, I was listening to an investor of Groq on his channel about why this is so interesting. And this is basically what he was saying is that NVIDIA is seeing the writing on the wall when it comes to specialized chips, because you played that sound of Jonathan Ross talking about the inference technology that they have. And this is where some are seeing that where the money is at with these specialized chips and why NVIDIA would pay 3 times the value of this company. And by the way, Jonathan Ross is seen as an engineering genius within this industry. So yes, it may be that the NVIDIA chips, which are generalized chips, which are good at many tasks, are great, but now where the money is being seen going forward, where the reoccurring money may be, is in this specialized chip space. And that's why they are essentially buying this company in this deal that, by the way, is this licensing deal, which is an interesting also format for these. Now we are seeing more and more of these types of deals where the talent goes to now NVIDIA, where the company is still sort of more of a shell company, and this is because of antitrust issues to make sure that this goes through. But yes, Jensen Huang may be admittedly saying we have a great chip, but now we are acquiring this specialized chip with Jonathan Ross, did the TPU over at Google. So it's definitely seen as where the market may be going.
And I should mention, reach out to Groq. They declined to make Jonathan available for an interview. Keith, let me get back to you here, because really next year, you're starting to get the sense, if we haven't gotten it already, some of the world's largest tech companies might go hunting in private company land. You know, the companies that have been raising money all the past 2 years at big valuations, they may go shopping to further boost, their capabilities. What do you think about that?
We absolutely think that has to happen in order for the story to continue to evolve beyond where it has started with the quote unquote picks and shovels over the last couple of years. We feel like to justify the valuations, the story has to continue to evolve in the spaces that we just haven't really grasped yet, in particular on the private market side. But we've seen some developments on the private credit side as far as the funding that have drawn some questions as to kind of how far this can go and how it will be all capitalized. So in 2026, the story has to continue to evolve away from some of the main culprits of the last 2 years, into spaces that the market really hasn't appreciated the AI story to evolve to just yet. So we're looking for that evolution, and we feel like it has to come to justify valuations going forward.
Keith, how willing would you be to get outside of the Mag 7 and some of these big tech plays and get involved in the broadening out of the AI trade? And I'm even talking about something as companies that make concrete, companies that make steel rebar that are helping build these, put up these AI data centers, electrical power companies. Are you comfortable taking it to that level yet?
Sure. In our equity strategy, we've been taking it there for the last over the last year or so. Yes, we're looking at spaces, particularly in industrials, in that also in the utilities as well. Ancillary plays to the AI adjacent names and stories and industries that benefit from this build out, which might not have as much built in their valuations, also might not have as much debt or risk associated with this current trade. So we're looking at all those spaces that we can have a cheap entry into investing in this this next phase of the build out that we feel like 2026 is really going to start to embrace more outside of the Mag 7. So we're absolutely been looking in those spaces.
Never oppose Jensen Huang. When I used to buy and sell NVIDIA stock, I had to learn it the hard way. I might have made more money in my role at NVIDIA, though, if I had stayed on board and not worried so much about whether the company could overcome its leadership concerns. There are plenty of competitors vying for NVIDIA's market share. That does not imply, however, that these businesses can just pierce NVIDIA's defenses. It has consistently managed to counter the market's pessimism. This time, the brilliant move concerns a new competitor that might have an impact on NVIDIA's long-term leadership. This is the agreement that was made with Grock shortly before Christmas. According to Jensen Huang, the agreement should lessen the likelihood that Groq's rise will disturb NVIDIA's inferencing opportunity, in addition to greatly enhancing it. Additionally, it involves handpicking the talent from an AI chip business led by executives who were on the original team that created Google's well-known TPUs, which are currently in version 7 Ironwood. As I mentioned in my previous article about NVIDIA, the stock has now fallen to extremely appealing levels, indicating that the market seems to have been overly pessimistic. Wall Street supported my opinion by pointing out that similar gloomy multiples in NVIDIA have previously proven to be favorable purchase positions, giving the investor who dared to choose the falling knife the opportunity to wager on a future rally in the company. I suppose I don't need to tell NVIDIA's ardent supporters that the AI chip firm Grock and NVIDIA signed a reported $20 billion non-exclusive licensing agreement. Additionally, given that Grock allegedly wasn't seeking a sale, the deal seems to have been presented and completed swiftly. To be frank, I was also surprised by how quickly the agreement worked out, and NVIDIA most likely realized that the dangers were getting more serious. Google isn't the only company attempting to overtake NVIDIA. The idea that inference may signal a quick transition to inference, which may need for more specialized hardware. Given that Groq's specialist processors, known as language processing units, or LPUs, are made for quick and effective inference, this clearly plays to their advantages. So, yes. In terms of the ecology and the fundamental shifts occurring in the training inference space starting in 2026, it's not just a major deal, it's a huge one. Furthermore, the integration of Groq's LPU into NVIDIA's entire stack, in my opinion, is a clear nod to its contemporaries in custom chips that NVIDIA is moving like lightning and that Jensen Huang won't be left behind by the current advancements in AI inferencing. Therefore, I think the deal's speed may have caught competitors off guard because it was announced right before Christmas Day. Jensen Huang doesn't waste any time in hiring some of the best talent for what is, after all, a well-known AI startup that may eventually challenge NVIDIA. Since the mistake that caused NVIDIA's market dominance to be throttled and momentum to stall, we have already witnessed Chinese AI companies accelerating their efforts to unseat the king of AI in China. Although figures of up to 80K chips have been quoted, the initial cadence will probably be scrutinized, even though the encouraging approval for NVIDIA's H200 chips could see the resumption of exports to China in the first half of 2026. Furthermore, it appears that China's leading AI and tech firms may try to use their influence and market access to NVIDIA's H200 manufacturing and availability in order to ensure that they obtain them as soon as feasible. Therefore, I believe that by the conclusion of the first half of CY 2026, upside optionality on NVIDIA's China sales will finally see some positive operating outcomes, providing insight into the estimated $50 billion China market. However, the most noteworthy development of this week has to be Jensen Huang's speedy completion of the GROQ licensing agreement, even if the H200's first shipments to China are anticipated to begin in February 2026. According to the dynamics of the purported deal, let's be honest, only a few months ago, Groq was valued at $6.9 billion in a funding round. NVIDIA is keen to make the deal happen and thinks it has the resources to extract significant value from it, so even though the deal price seems exorbitant, it may be highly strategic. Therefore, it's a substantial improvement, and given that Groq reduced its sales objective from $2 billion to $500 million, as announced in July 2025, management may find it difficult to resist closing the deal fast. However, third-party benchmarks have also partially confirmed the company's technology, see above, supporting Jensen Huang's trust in the startup when he allegedly told NVIDIA staff that the company plans to integrate their technology. I think it's obvious that NVIDIA is taking charge of its future by working with companies that can jeopardize its position in the market. Who knows? The business must, however, handle these transactions cautiously to avoid violating antitrust laws that may prevent regulators from agreeing with NVIDIA management. I therefore believe that the non-exclusive licensing agreement seemed to have accomplished this. In addition to maintaining control over its technological collaborations, non-exclusive licensing, Groq anticipates continuing to function as an independent company. However, NVIDIA has a fantastic and timely opportunity to internalize the startup's technology before it has a chance to solidify itself in the chip ecosystem. This improves NVIDIA's offerings in inference, particularly on the low latency side, and is incredibly cost-effective, strengthening NVIDIA's ability to compete in the increasingly important inferencing growth pillar. It's not that the company's processors aren't suitable for inference after all. I believe we can all agree that NVIDIA's merchant GPUs are incredibly versatile and made to accommodate a broad range of applications, workloads, and requirements from various developers, enhanced by its essential CUDA libraries. As a result, NVIDIA has received praise from its customers and adopters. But that doesn't mean that resolute rivals in the custom space, like Google, couldn't change their approach and roadmap to compete more successfully while rewiring their software ecosystem to make them more appealing to a wider range of astute developers who are aware of the increasingly capable TPUs, as most recently confirmed by Anthropic's expanded order and Meta's reported TPU deployment in 2027. However, I think Jensen Huang sees a chance to reconfigure NVIDIA's competitive edge in this domain. The compute crunch that has also damaged Google's internal AI workloads and requirements may be the silver lining that NVIDIA needs to try and delay that incidence. As we have more opportunities to examine how NVIDIA plans to enhance its stack with Groq's promising technology, and how it could also strengthen its capabilities in comparison to its resolute and well-resourced arch-rivals in the custom area, I think there will be more in-depth insights to be provided in the future. First of all, I think we can all agree that Jensen Huang is making good use of NVIDIA's wealth, despite the $20 billion deal that will undoubtedly hurt any company without NVIDIA's enormous free cash flow printing machine. I don't think such amazing acquisitions will cease, because the company's FCF is predicted to surpass $200 billion by FY 2028. It should already be considered a foregone conclusion that this AI gold rush is directly increasing NVIDIA's firepower. As the leading AI arms dealer in the world, Jensen Huang and his team have extracted value, giving it the enormous financial resources to keep closing major deals in an attempt to acquire up-and-coming competitors that might eventually threaten NVIDIA's competitive moat. And unless you believe that Google's or Broadcom's dominance with its TPU ecosystem could somehow overturn NVIDIA's cash flow prowess, I think it would still take several years for things to work out, even if Google were to overtake NVIDIA's established dominance with a high single-digit market share, which is a big if, and assuming ceteris paribus for Jensen Huang, which is not realistic. And I suppose he came up with this Christmas Eve deal to demonstrate to us that, while the rest of his competitors might be enjoying a well-earned holiday, he's out there closing deals to thwart even their most fervent attempts to thwart him and guarantee that NVIDIA's ultimate fate remains entirely in NVIDIA's own hands. Although investors helped the stock consolidate over the last several weeks, NVIDIA nonetheless slid into a unique bear market from its October 2025 highs. It's interesting to note that last week the stock began to regain buying momentum, paving the way for this week's optimism to support the optimistic narrative for the Jensen Huang-led company once more. The ambivalence that investors are putting into the company's story is demonstrated by the fact that NVIDIA's projected earnings multiple of just over 27x is even lower than the Magnificent Seven's 28.2x metric. However, this hasn't stopped these dip buyers from taking advantage of the chance to reclaim the bullish bias that has characterized NVIDIA's price movement for the majority of 2025. To put it another way, even though the current decline seems to be the worst since April 2025, buying enthusiasm doesn't seem to have abandoned Jensen Huang and his crew. As we approach the final week of 2025 and welcome what may be another crucial year for NVIDIA for 2026, I think the time for a valuation boost is here, given the chess plays the king of AI is currently making against its rivals. With its leading position in the data center graphics processing unit, GPU industry, NVIDIA has rightfully received a lot of attention in recent years. High-end parallel processing chips that IT businesses require to fuel artificial intelligence, AI models are sold by the company. This is a real pick-and-shovel investment strategy. Not only has the AI trend taken off, but the stock has been a huge winner. Here is how much your $100 investment in NVIDIA would be worth now if you had kept it through the company's ups and downs 10 years ago. As of December 19th, NVIDIA shares have generated an incredible total return of 22,980% over the previous 10 years, converting a $100 investment into a holding worth almost $23,000. The company's quarterly dividend payment, which is now only $0.01 per share, has a negligible impact on investor returns. The S&P 500 has been overtaken by NVIDIA. NVIDIA's returns were far higher than the market's large-cap barometer, which had a 10-year total return of 305%. The chipmaker's strong fundamentals have boosted its stock. Between its fiscal Q3 2016 and fiscal Q3 2026, which concluded on October 26th, revenue and net income surged by 4,285% and 12,867% respectively. With a $4.4 trillion market capitalization, NVIDIA is currently the most valuable corporation in the world. Some investors worry that the AI bubble is here to stay. The remarkable growth trajectory of NVIDIA may suffer if investments in AI infrastructure decline. Don't forget to share your thoughts and experiences in the comments below. Your input helps create a more knowledgeable community where we can all learn and grow together in the world of investing. Stay up to date with the latest market trends, insights, and key updates by subscribing to Investing Tutorial. We're here to help you make smarter investment decisions and stay ahead of the curve.